Hello, welcome to The Collision. I'm Daniel Blackaby, and I'm here with Sam Camp to talk about what I think was one of, for both of us, our most anticipated films
Yeah.
of the year. I know when the trailer came out, Sam immediately texted me saying, I'm coming with you to review this one. I think for both of us, too, we were very surprised by the final product of this movie, for better or worse, and we're excited to talk about it, so let's get into it. Well, Sam, why don't you give us a little... What's the general premise of this film?
Yeah, so it centers around Brad Pitt's character, Roy McBride, and he's an astronaut. It's near future. There's talk that his dad, who he presumed to be dead, is potentially alive, and so he goes on this quest to try and find his dad and essentially pull a rescue mission and save the planet in the process.
Yeah, it's probably important to note too that this is a science fiction movie, but it's not Star Wars. It's I think we were both a little surprised. This is a very, very slow, kind of plodding, introspective film. I know there's not a lot of action set pieces.
No, there's a few areas in the film that there is some action, and there's obviously some pretty tense moments, but it's by and large a very slow movie. And I was pretty surprised by that. I thought there would be a little more action in it, although I knew it wasn't going to be sort of the fantasy space movie.
Yeah, I'd say there's not necessarily a whole lot of even entertainment value. It's not a very even fun movie.
No.
And I don't necessarily mean that in a negative way. It's just very different. I think going into it, if you're expecting laser guns and fast spaceships shooting, you're going to be quite disappointed. But I think this film, because it's more introspective and kind of more personal character study, that it has a lot of interesting insights and questions to think about if you're able just to accept the kind of the slower pace and what the film is going for. Yeah, well, if you don't know, the name Ad Astra is actually Latin, meaning to the stars.
Which I didn't know until just now.
Oh, happy to educate. And it kind of sets up the whole, which I would say the main theme, kind of the main message throughout, is this sort of the search for meaning. The search, you see this in two ways. You kind of see the more external is looking for life and answers among the stars, and then you also see it in more of a kind of a paralleled way as far as an internal kind of finding meaning within yourself. But as far as the first kind of looking into the stars, what did you kind of get from the movie? What?
Well, I think without giving too much of the plot away, I found it very interesting how they sort of built the world to be going out and exploring.
Well, in the moon, again, this is in the trailer, so it's not spoiling anything, but the Brad Pitt's character ends up on the moon.
Yeah, and there's a colony there on the moon.
Yeah, the film itself is set. It doesn't specify the year, but it's in the near future. But it's interesting. The world building is kind of in the background. They don't draw a whole lot of attention to it.
But it's really good. Like, it's very believable, I thought.
Yeah, and sort of this on the moon, you kind of see, almost implied that this is sort of a place where humans have gone to kind of get away from the struggles of Earth. It's sort of the new frontier. But then when he gets there, you find a world that's still very, very much like Earth.
Yeah, you've still brought people along with you, and with that comes consumerism and all the other problems that people bring, no matter where they go, whether it's somewhere on Earth or to the stars or the moon or Mars.
Yeah, no. When Brad Pitt's character gets off of his kind of rocket ship, there's a big poster on the moon. It says, the moon where all of the Earth comes together, and it's very sort of optimistic, sort of this utopia. But then as soon as he starts kind of going around and completing his mission on the moon, you find that there's pirates, there's territorial warfare,
right?
Kind of all the same sins and selfish kind of humanity that has plagued Earth has just been brought with us. Even the further we go into space, it's kind of like
it's all there. Yeah, you can't escape.
Which it was interesting to me because this is a film that, obviously it's about space travel and space exploration, but in some ways it's a more pessimistic take on technology and space travel.
Yeah, and I think even more pessimistic about the answers that they hope to find in space as well. Because I think a lot of people, there's just excitement about space exploration, space travel, all the possibilities that might have and bring with it. But the film, I thought it had a bit of a negative take on some of that, on the outcomes at least. Which, again, without saying too much about the film.
Yeah, without spoiling, but sort of many of the characters, and just sort of in this fictional world, this humanity in general, kind of keeps going further and further into the solar system. Another planet, looking for answers, looking for meaning, looking for significance, and in the end, they just can't find it. The issues they're trying to escape from on Earth just keep coming with them, no matter how far into the stars they go, which is a really interesting take for a modern day movie. And it's almost, the film doesn't necessarily explicitly go there, but it kind of brings, or at least it evokes God into the film through his absence and through his silence. That it's not preaching that God's the only answer to our problems,
right?
But it's showing that our faith and our optimism in technology and exploration, kind of finding meaning out there.
Finding optimism in the human spirit is almost not the thing, which is typically what you would expect in a film like this. It's like, it's just, the human spirit, and that's what it is that, gets us to all these things. And
yes, it's sort of it's kind of hinted at this is a dead end. This is sort of, we can, no matter how far into the galaxy, into the stars we go looking for meaning, it's ultimately going to come up short, and we're just going to bring with us the same problems that we had on Earth. We'll bring to Neptune and Mars and the Moon and wherever else we go.
Right.
The other one, this one's a little hard to get into with details as far as without ruining kind of some of the third act of the film. So we won't do that. But the film also, in some ways, can almost be seen as like a visual metaphor, as far as kind of finding meaning within. And this is seen most clear with Brad Pitt's character, as far as his 80 beats a minute. His character is very very stoic throughout the film. His thing is his heartbeat has never gone over 80 beats a minute in any of his missions. He always is calm and collected. But as the film progresses, you begin to kind of see it's not the whole truth.
Right. Yeah. That facade, or that projection that he has, that he's just this calm, collected astronaut, starts to degrade a bit as the film progresses.
Yeah, and I kind of took the whole space exploration part of the film is almost as sort of a metaphor for his own internal journey to kind of find. You realize he has pain, he has some regrets, he has some hurt that he's kind of hidden away and kind of beneath this hard shell of being this calm and collected.
In control, I think, was sort of, we talked about that on the way back from the film, is this idea that he's always been in control, in all of his missions, and even when, things are, going crazy, he's calm, he knows what to do, but then as the film progresses, that gets less and less.
Yeah, and Brad Pitt is such a pro. He is great.
Yeah. Brad Pitt and Tommy Lee Jones, I thought, did fantastic. Yeah,
there's a kind of a subtleness to it that's rare these days in a lot of the big movies. He plays it. There's kind of an authenticity to his character.
Right.
He's not overdoing it. The film does have a voiceover that goes throughout of Brad Pitt that kind of gives you some insight into what he's thinking on the inside, which is quite effective to kind of understand this spiritual journey, even as he's going out to the stars.
Right.
He's going deeper into himself and finally wrestling with some of these issues. And in a lot of ways, he's like a spiritual seeker. And the film's pretty subtle, just to leave this metaphor up for us without giving us necessarily the answer or forcing some conclusions into it.
Yeah, and we talked about this some before. Is the way the film, we felt like the film could have ended at one point, and if you watch it, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well. But it does bring closure to Brad Pitt. It sort of completes his character arc, which we thought, you probably could have not completed his character arc, and maybe that would have been more effective. But
kind of
it's interesting.
Yeah, it establishes.
Let us know what you think.
because it establishes Brad Pitt's character sort of the seeker. He's searching for meaning, and it's for the majority of the film, it's left very open ended as far as will he find this significance? Will he be able to let go of some of his past? What will he how will he handle this? Which I thought was very effective and open ended, relatable. Unfortunately, at least in our opinion, the film kind of succumbs to some of the Hollywood-esque pressures, and at the end it tries to kind of give an answer rather than just leaving it open-ended. Yeah, so like we said at the start, this is one of our most, at least when we saw the trailer, one of our most anticipated films. One of the more surprising films that I've reviewed this year.
Yeah.
What was your final takeaways from this? Did you enjoy it? Were you disappointed by it?
Yeah, I guess maybe the best word that I can think of would be just super interesting. I don't know if enjoy is the right word, but yeah, maybe I enjoyed it. I found it more sad than I anticipated, just again with the inner struggle with Brad Pitt's character. Slower than I anticipated, but I thought a lot more than I anticipated. So I think I was satisfied with it. I don't know that it's not one of those movies that you would return to over and over again.
Yeah.
Just the pure entertainment, but definitely worth seeing, I think.
Yeah, that's sort of my kind of where I land too. I don't think it's a movie that you can watch multiple times. I think once was enough. But I think that one time was in some ways it's refreshing. It's been after a summer where there's a lot of kind of mindless spectacle blockbusters. They're just sort of fun, but very surface level. It was nice to have a film that actually kind of made you think after the theater, and kind of processing.
And I should say too that it's very visually stunning as well, as as you would expect any of these sort of space odyssey films to be.
The cinematography is gorgeous, with some of the very reminiscent of Gravity or Interstellar or some of these recent space films, which is sort of the paradox with it is that I feel like the visuals are just made for the big screen, while the story is almost made more for a small screen to watch at home or through streaming. So you'll have to decide kind of when you see it. But I do think ultimately that it's worth seeing. It's nice. It's a nice reminder that a movie can be a lot more than just entertainment, just shove popcorn in your mouth. It can actually make you think. It can raise some very spiritual questions.
Yeah, which is good. And I think there needs to be more movies like that as well. Yeah,
and hopefully, I don't know how this movie will do. I think people might go into it expecting one thing and be disappointed, and so we'll see how it goes. I hope the movie does well, if for no other reason than just to encourage Hollywood to keep making movies that strive for more than just sort of the surface level entertainment.
Right.
But what about you? Are you planning to see Ad Astra? Have you seen it? This is a movie that just begs to be talked about. So if you've seen the movie, we'd love to talk about it with you. So jump into the comments section. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you agree with our perspective on the movie and share your perspective. And if you haven't done so already, we'd love for you to subscribe to this channel to keep up with all of our latest video contents. Thank you for watching, and we hope that you'll continue to collide with your world for Christ.